Storytelling Podcast, episode number 50. Welcome to the Storytelling Podcast, where everything's fictional, even you. And now, here are your hosts, two guys and a girl who lie for a living, Garrett, Zach, and Chrissy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Storytelling Podcast, the podcast that's all about fiction, and more fiction, and telling the best truths through the medium of lies. I'm your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-host ZC Bolger and Chrissy Moss. We're going to start now. We apologize to everybody, including Kevin Michael and Buddy Gott, who have been waiting with bated breath for us to show up. Kevin Michael said, "Fashionably late to your own party, I see." Yes, well, that's just how we roll. And Buddy God said, "Can't watch the show live, but wanted to wish you all a happy 50th episode. The show's been awesome. Great job, my friends." Aww. Buddy, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, screw you for not watching live. Buddy has actually started a new walking podcast in the tradition of The Walking Dave, which I listened to my first episode of The Walking Dave this week and was surprised at how much I liked it. It's actually quite good. And yeah. Buddy has a walking show, and everybody's doing these walking podcasts now. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Maybe I could do a walking podcast. And then I was like, yeah, but walking.
Just make a podcast while walking?
No, yeah. What? Yeah, they record while walking.
Yeah, Dave is out walking every day. Like, somebody's replaced Dave with a lizard person. I'm pretty sure, because he's bubbly on the podcast, he's supportive of the Kickstarter campaign, and he's walking and exercising, and he's happy. So I'm not saying it's an improvement.
Not right.
I just think it's not David. I think we're dealing with an alien replacement.
Pod
here.
people.
That's what's going on. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Ooh, we got a whole bunch of people now that we're finally live. There's a very complex name in the comments that said, is she a soft drink? Who said, yay, Chrissy, woot woot. And David Anson is here. He said, hello all. Hi, David. Hi, Quotidian Lights. Chrissy, do you have any idea who that is?
I do. I don't.
You don't? Chrissy's got her first stalker! Yay! Oh, I see her profile picture now. She's commented on the show before. Hi, I'm sorry we're butchering your name. I feel like I feel like an asshole. I know. Somebody who's actually been here before. So how was your guys' weeks going? I have weekly updates, but I like to always let you guys go first because I feel like I have too much voice time on this show already.
We agree. I had a surprise. I had a surprise visit from some friends. That was fun. They were going from the Bahamas to Los Angeles, and they got stuck in Miami for a night, so I took them out for a night on the town.
Fun.
So that stopped me from writing for like 2 days because we were out till 5.
Yay.
But I started writing Ninja Bread Man 3, and I have to just say this to our listeners because I've gotten a lot of people asking how, the question of how do you get your ideas? And this was one of those moments where I had no idea what this book was going to be about. I finished Ninja Bread Man 2, sent it over to Garrett, who still hasn't read it, and
I'm an asshole. I'm sorry.
I knew how Ninja Bread Man 3 was going to end, but I had no idea how it was going to start. And I just started going over and over, what are my options? And seriously, it took a completely different direction than I thought it was going to be, but it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be, honestly, the best out of the trilogy.
The second one or the third one?
The third one.
Okay, because I was going to say, wait a minute. We're going to pull a Star Wars here with an Empire Strikes Back that's way better than Jedi.
We're going to meet a lot of characters in Book 3 that are then going to explode in our extended universe. It's going to be amazingly awesome.
That's totally epic.
Yeah.
Is Chrissy? Oh, Chrissy's back. Your picture. You leaned down below your desk, and then your picture froze. So it looked like you were just gone. I was like, what the hell happened to Chrissy?
I'm trying to adjust the wires on my speakers so that your voices stop going in and out.
Aha, I see. Do you have anything for this week, Chrissy?
I wrote very little.
All right. Hey, at least you wrote.
Yeah, it's
How
been
many-
one of those weeks where real life is inflicting itself upon the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So.
I know that feel, yo.
Same here.
I
I've
know
only
that
done
feel.
4,000 words this week, so I feel kind of crappy.
Yeah. Well, things happen. I'm still on the bandwagon. I've been writing every day. Yeah.
Well, at least one of us did.
It's been good. It's been really good. And I'm almost through with. I think this is it's kind of in between my second and third draft. And then Rebel Yell is going to go out to beta readers very, very shortly. That's my big weekly update. Rebel Yell, which is my first book in hardcover. The hardcover is available for pre-order now. And I stuck the URL into my little lower third here, but it's not up yet. It's my website, garrettbrobinson.com/rebel-yell. So it's pretty intuitive, but you can pre-order it on Amazon. I actually managed to, which I'll explain how to do this another time, or maybe I'll make a tutorial. But it's on Amazon for pre-order, and then when I release it in general, it will retain its book rank. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah,
honestly.
that confused me when you told me about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. It's there. It's an actual Amazon product page in the book section, Author Central, the whole deal. And then when the hardcover comes out, that will be available for direct sale, but it will have the same Amazon rank. Unfortunately, you can't do that with Kindle books, but somebody figured out how to do it with actual physical books. So yay!
That's awesome.
Is it only books that you get through somewhere else, or is it even
Only Lightning Source?
one?
No, I could do it with CreateSpace. I'm only making the hardcover available for pre-order. For now, I might make the paperback available for pre-order, but I don't think I'm going to.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Hardcover always comes first.
Well, it does, but we're also self-published. I want to cater to the people that want paperbacks. So there definitely will be a paperback, and it will be available on release day. It's not like I'm going to hold off for 6 months like traditional publishing and make them all buy the hardcover.
But we don't care about our readers, so... Wait. We're live.
But you're supposed to say that off the air, Zach. But honestly, I don't know. I kind of am just like, I don't want to split. I want to have one thing to push for the pre-orders, I guess, is the way I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, that's the deal. But it is going to come out. On release day, which is either going to be late July or early August. It's going to come out on release day in hardcover, paperback, and ebook, and maybe audiobook, because I'm going to try and have the audiobook recorded and mixed before release day. I might not, because between Zach and me and other projects, I've got a whole bunch of different stuff going on. But that would be fun. It definitely will be coming as an audiobook very soon.
I have another update when you're done.
Do you guys know how expensive audiobooks are? They're freaking expensive.
Very.
Very, very freaking expensive. It's weird. And when you produce an audiobook through ACX, which is great, don't get me wrong, I love the service. And analytically, I understand why they're so expensive, because there's a lot more people involved. There's the author, the publisher, the voice talent, the sound mixer, etc., etc. But at the same time, ACX sets your prices for you, and I released Non-Zombie as an audiobook with myself as the narrator, and I forget what it ended up being, but it was something like $7. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it's $6, which is discounted from, I don't know, whatever the original price was, which was like $7.50 or something, and it's a $3 Kindle book, and it took me way less time. I don't know, it's weird, but anyway, there you go.
$7 is a great price for an audiobook. I mean, obviously,
for an audiobook, but this is like a super short novella,
that's right. Yeah, I'm thinking like Realm Keepers.
Right. No, I would just hate for somebody to get Non-Zombie and be like, this is so short. But
how long is the recording?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It's a good question. No,
because they might go by hours.
What was that?
I did get my first check from ACX last week, so yay.
I had another update, which I thought was actually cool, which you and I kind of talked about, is that I have started creating titles for the expanded universe of Ninja Bread Man, and we have 20 titles on backlist or whatever you want to call it.
And he designed covers, and Zach, we actually need to talk about this more in depth off of the air. I think we need to switch the Ninja Bread Man covers, because the new covers that you've designed are so much better.
Okay.
I like them better than the existing Ninja Bread Man cover for 1 and 2. So we can talk about that more.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off here, but basically,
guys, they're so good. Seriously, they're so good. They're so good.
They're very cool.
Can you share one?
No, I don't want to.
I could share one of them.
Okay, share one of them.
Basically, a whole big list, a whole big series are going to be origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of them is the origins of the Ninja Bread Man, because we don't actually get to be there in his origins and see what happened after the death of his parents. He mentions it, and before he meets Master Baker, we know that Master Baker completely saved his life and stuff, but we don't know why he saved his life, what happened,
Yeah.
So we're going to see the origin story of that, but I can share, I don't know if you can pull it up, Garrett, because my resolution's not very good, but...
Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I got it here. I'm going to share the Ninja Bread Man, okay?
Yeah, the Ninja Bread Man one.
Okay.
None of the other ones, though. Those are all surprises.
Yeah, for sure, because we don't want... Oh, here we go.
Because I did a whole bunch of covers that include characters that none of you guys have heard of yet.
Right. Okay, so here is the potential new cover for Ninja Bread Man. Now, we might tweak it slightly. Can you guys see it, or is it just showing my profile picture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So immediately, it looks like an old kind of fairy tale book that, is from some distant yesteryear, and it's so much more, we could tweak it a little bit to make it look more fairy tale-like and whatever, but right away, it's just so much of a cooler, more gripping cover to me than the current cover, which is a great cover, but oh my God.
Yeah, totally. What's great about that also is that I have the full image of the book. So when we do the paperbacks, it's going to do a full wraparound. It's going to look like an old book cover printed on the paperback. So it's going to look awesome.
Yeah. It's going to look. It's going to be totally amazing.
I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the back yet. But for the people that are listening, basically we put in. I did. This was one of those points that we talked about before about doing your covers and stuff. If you're going to do them yourself, research so that you can do something better. And what I did was I made the lettering and the imagery look like it's gold leafed, basically, like almost like somebody put it on with gold leaf. And I didn't know how to do that before I started doing this, but I had the idea in my head, and I just Googled how do you make something look like it's in gold, and then I just followed the YouTube tutorial, and it came out fantastic.
That's super cool. It's going to look amazing. Like when people see that physical book cover, they're going to I could see somebody thinking it's actually gold leaf and being like, what? Oh no, it's not. But still, really cool. Like you want something like that that will seize that initial moment of attention. Anything you can do to keep people's eyes from just passing over your book cover is something that you should do. That is absolutely something you should do.
Yeah, and so all the origin stories have that same type of cover, that same look. If we're going to change the other stories, like the Ninja Bread Man trilogy, we can change it to look more similar to that, but I don't think we're going to use the same cover, because I want those covers to just be for the origins. But we can talk about that more in depth and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean we can go over that, but yeah, I think you're right.
But yeah, I created. Here's the thing on creating characters, guys. When you're in your worlds, and especially if they're fantasy worlds such as ours, it's literally you can take just random crap and create a character out of it. And something for me is I started looking at nursery rhymes and started breaking nursery rhymes apart, and even just taking words out of nursery rhymes that
he actually went into a nursery, took their rhymes books, and broke them apart. It was sad. Right. Children were very upset.
And just took random words and made those words into actual characters that you will look at and go, oh my God, that's an amazing character. I never thought of a nursery rhyme like that. So
It's going to be totally epically awesome.
I can't wait till you read Ninja Bread Man 3 beats.
I'll read them. I swear. I'm just trying to get Rebel Yell out the door to beta readers.
I get it.
That's another interesting thing is that I already have a list of 50 beta readers for Rebel Yell, which I'm very excited to get it out to them here. Oh, hey, Eric Winden showed up. He's in the comments. Joining in progress. Hi, everyone. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
But recently I've been running into various people that I know that are independent artists, that are independent musicians specifically, and I have immediately asked them, hey, can I get you a beta copy of an advanced copy of my book? You know, maybe get a quote or something like that. And they've all been very, very receptive to the idea. As always with these things, it might be totally, they might not at all.
Right.
But because these are not big ebook people, these are not big, voracious readers of Amazon who know how to load up an ebook file, I'm actually going to produce a beta version of the paperback of Rebel Yell, which is a pretty cheap paperback, and give that to them instead. So that's kind of cool. It's a fun little deal. But yeah, if you've got something that can if you've got something that can tie in with people in the real world who have real experience with something, anything, armor, fighting, music, whatever, and you can get them as beta readers, that's really freaking valuable, because then they can go, oh, this would, I mean, it's cool, but this would never actually happen, right? And you can be like, oh, no, I do, please, tell me more. Anyway, just a quick note out there for everyone. Anything else?
I think that's why I write so much fantasy.
Because you don't have to ask anybody?
Well, that's because if somebody says, well, they say the smoke's not supposed to be pink. Well, there's a unicorn in it, damn it, leave it alone.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh, it's a fantasy book. Calm down. I've been getting really into Adobe InDesign recently, which is supposed to be the default software that is the book formatting software, and I was always like, oh, okay, fine.
Oh, I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the industry standard for formatting the interior of a book. And up to now, I've used Word, because for CreateSpace, Word works totally fine.
Right.
But now I'm producing through Lightning Source, and I've been checking out another company called Blurb, who, Zach, I know I sent you a message on that one. As a follow-up note to that one, without an actual follow-up email, they price their books way too expensively for me. Way too expensively being like a few dollars higher depending on how much it is, but just like to the point I wouldn't want to use them. But an interesting thing for anybody out there who is having no luck with Lightning Source, what do you call it? Blurb.com will publish hardcovers with no upfront fees. Now,
really?
Their submission process is a little bit interesting. I didn't like it as much as Lightning Source, but you have to get in the door with Lightning Source, and then you have to pay them up front to publish your thing. It's only a couple $100 or 100 something bucks, but if that's a big turnoff to you, but you still want a hardcover, blurb.com, worth checking out at least. To see if you like it. I can't speak to the quality, because I got all the way to the submission process to see how much my book would cost, and they were like, oh yeah, it would cost like, for example, Rebel Yell hardcover is $20 plus shipping, and at Blurb it would have cost like $28, which I was just like, yeah, no, not for a 70,000 word book.
And
anyway.
that's something I ran into when I was printing my Danny Calloway beta copies, my pre-readers, is that I was getting them printed through an independent, like a single printer that's at a local bookstore in our hometown, and they're like, oh yeah, you can print all of your books through here. We'll put them up on in the bookstore and all this stuff. I'm like, oh cool. How much is it to print each book? And they're like, oh, it's $15 to print each one. And I'm like, it's $5 to do that at Lightning Source. It's like, yeah, but then you just upgrade it to, $18, $19 paperback. Some paperbacks sell for that. I'm like, yeah, but not a kid's book that's only, 77,000 words.
Right, exactly.
So
some people have a disconnect with reality.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Most people in the publishing industry?
Yeah, exactly. You get? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole before I finish this. Anyway, InDesign Learning curve, definitely a learning curve. But if you do get into Lightning Source, they are probably the best way to go because there is a thing on Lightning Source's submission where you give them a PDF for the interior of your book and then a PDF for your cover. And if your PDF is not flattened, in other words, if it still contains data on layers, like the layers within your thing, they will charge you extra money for your initial setup fees so that they could flatten it and make sure it still looks okay.
GIMP also does that. You can make PDFs with GIMP, and
well, see now, here's the
flatten
thing.
it.
Well, but here's the thing. I flattened it extensively in Photoshop, and I even took my PDFs that I output from Word, and I flattened them through another program that flattens multiple page PDFs. And still, I sent it to Lightning Source, and they were like, "Yes, so these still do not have a thing, and we're going to charge you money."
Because they want your money.
It's because they want your money. I did it through InDesign, no problems. Just boom, just no problems. So I was like, "All right."
You know how I feel about Lightning Source.
Yes.
I mean, another way to do it would be to export it as a JPEG and then re-import it. And a JPEG is flat. You can't have layers in a JPEG, so.
And then re-export it as a PDF, you mean?
Yeah.
But if it's not the right format, I don't know. All I'm saying is InDesign is an option.
Well, the end product would be a PDF. So.
Right, but there's multiple formats of PDF. There's multiple standards of PDF, and there's multiple. It's
layered
video
PDFs.
files. You can have it's like video files. You can have a movie file .mov, but there's 8,000 different types of movie files, and depending on which one you are, like YouTube won't like you or whatever. So anyway, it's not really a super
YouTube
important
doesn't like
thing
me
to
anyway.
most Does YouTube like anyone? Yes, they do. I love your YouTube.
John Green, they like John Green.
Yeah, they love John Green. Speaking of which, I'm going to VidCon. Did I tell you guys that? Yay!
You tweeted about it.
Big online video conference. I'm very excited.
Oh, and we're probably going to Kamikaze this year.
Yeah, we're going to have a booth at Kamikaze.
It's gonna be awesome.
When is that happening again? I don't remember.
End of October?
End of October. Okay, so end of October-ish, we'll have a booth in Kamikaze if you're in Los Angeles near Anaheim. We'd love to see you there. We'll have Realm Keepers. I want to have obviously big displays of Midrealm and Wormspire. I also want to have a display of all of the episode individual paperbacks, which will be very fun. And then Zach will have Danny Calloway. I'll have my books. It'll be a good old fun time.
And if we can get a whole bunch of fairy tales out, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, well we'll definitely have Ninjabread Man in print by then. So.
Ninjabread Man next to Hit Girls. Yep, there you go.
Well, it's Kamikaze. It's not all about kids. Like I'll have a high shelf with Hit Girls on it, and then everything else will be accessible on top of the table. Maybe Rebel Yell too. Rebel Yell's got some scenes that I would not want children reading. More on the sex aspect than the insane psychotic violence. But there you go. Let's see.
Sounds like my type of book.
Yeah.
The sex or the violence?
I got to chapter 3. I'm like, I love this book so much.
Unlike Hit Girls, which is the
Unlike Hit Girls, I cannot read this anymore.
I thought Hit Girls was great. I read all of them.
Oh no, I didn't say. It's not that they weren't great. It's that I can't handle that much gore. Like literally, I was reading. I was like, "Oh my god, I feel gross." But that's a personal thing for me. That's all.
There was only one scene that I thought was a little bit over the top. The rest of it was like, you could use a little more.
A little more. See, that's how I know it was written really well because I wouldn't read it.
And one of my quotes on the back cover is from Zach, where he said, like, I couldn't read this book because blah, 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 blah. And I was like, for the person who wants to read this book, that is a glowing endorsement.
That's
so
right.
I put it on the back cover.
I think that's one of the things that got me to pick it up and read it.
Fantastic. How are we doing on time?
I forgot what our topic is tonight.
We're talking about deaths and...
Death, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see. We've got a whole lot of comments. Guys, I'm very sorry. Your comments are not showing up in the comment tracker, so we're... Oh, here we go. It just popped up just as I said that. I think Google bugs these calls, and they're like, oh, they're complaining. Quick, go in. David Anson said, Quark and Quark Express are the industry standard for all print design, but it is super expensive. Yeah, but Quark is like what you use at the printing house, like at the book printing house. I think for designers, they pass off InDesign, they pass off PDFs or InDesign files to the Quark guys. I used to work in a book manufacturing plant. So when he says like expensive, we're not talking like a couple $1,000s for the program. We're talking like $10,000 for the program. Like, it's insane. This is like what the big money guys do. So
Just John and Johnny to get it.
yeah, exactly.
Started.
Go for it, Zach. That's all you. The last thing I'll say for my weekly update is that I am going to be at some. The details are very sketchy on this, but I don't. You know me. I don't focus too hard on like announcing things to the audience in terms of like the best way to hit maximal impact. It's like I just let you know. Oh, hey, my book's up on hardcover, on pre-order. Oh, hey, this is happening. Oh, hey, this is happening. And then sometimes they never happen, and I feel kind of bad about that. But at least I didn't go like this thing. So at some point this year, I will be producing a video series called, well, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's basically going to be self-publishing nuts and bolts. It's going to be how to do all of the things that you learn you are supposed to do from Self-Publishing Podcast, Creative Pen Podcast, Rocking Self-Publishing Podcast, how to market a book, Let's Get Digital, Let's Get Visible, how, write, publish, repeat. Yeah, like, well, but we don't really talk about self-publishing. We talk about storytelling. I mean, sometimes we do. Yeah, sure, we get into it. But our niche is storytelling, telling good stories. And they talk about all these things. And what the void that I want to fill, pause for comedic effect, is that all these people, all of these things are about what you should do in terms of your publishing strategy and yada, yada, yada. And because we are all in this like incestuous community where we all know each other and support each other's work, I want to have a resource that everyone can point to where it's like, here's how you market your book. You have the first one free. If you want to learn how to make your book permanently free, go check out this video tutorial. And it's going to, so far I've got it blocked out right now to be about 30 videos. And it's going to be literally everything from how you use Scrivener, how you construct story beats. And again, all these videos will refer. And for more on this, you should go listen to this episode of Self-Publishing Podcast and da-da-da-da. And then exporting ebooks, publishing to Amazon, publishing to not Smashwords, because fuck those assholes, publishing to Barnes & Noble, Apple, all that kind of stuff. All the way to marketing your book, tips on driving it up the ranks, all of these like nuts and bolts things.
That's what I want to see. I want to see the marketing aspect.
Well, yeah. Now the marketing aspect is tricky though because it's all strategy and tactics are not evergreen. So,
but seeing everybody else's things and then going, "Wow, I've never tried that before. Let's try it now." It's better than just going, "What the hell am I supposed to be doing?"
I mean that's a good point. I can bring up like things that are like sometimes that's a tricky one. But hey, if you want to talk about it and help me come up with an idea for it, I'm more than willing.
Yeah.
I want it to be a really, really good resource for people. And it's all going to release at once. It's not like my 5-minute books where it's like one every week, and it's not some web review show. It's like the whole course is going to come out because honestly, the first 5 videos aren't any good to somebody without the last 25 videos. So anyway. We have more comments.
We had a question.
Yes.
One day, can you guys talk about the average money you make? I wondered if you wanted to say what you thought about that.
I'm so blingin'. Right before I did this, I was at a champagne pool party, and by that I don't mean a pool party with where they were serving champagne. I mean a pool of champagne. It was a swimming pool of champagne party
in Champagne, France.
I think you're on the wrong podcast.
Yeah, man, I'm so loaded. It's like it's ridiculous. I don't even know what to do with all the bills I got. And bills, I mean paper bills.
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't want to talk about my average money.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about money either. I mean, for the same reason that most people out there don't want to talk about money. Every once in a while, I'll publish, like, I don't mind publishing graphs because I think that trends are more important than figures, at least in most cases. Like, I don't mind showing a sudden spike in sales, date coincidence with different marketing things that I've done so that you can see, but I don't want numbers on those because, I mean, I don't want to be an asshole, but one, it's not really anybody else's business, but two, and more importantly, I don't necessarily want people to measure their success off of that because what for me is successful as an indie author isn't the money that you're making, and I know that some people feel like it is, and sorry, but you might be in the wrong industry. It is the words that you're writing, the reviews that you're getting, and the downloads that you are getting compared to the downloads you were getting last month. Like that,
Yeah,
those are the measures of success.
Outflow.
Progress.
Exactly.
I'll just say I have not made $1 million yet.
I will also say that.
I'm just starting out, so I clearly don't make a lot. I still have a day job. But if you want a average price of what people are making, I would go to AuthorEarnings.com. That has some great reports on you know what's actually happening, and a lot of they would just pull the data from Amazon and put it in a spreadsheet. You can look and see all that's going on.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
The Hugh Howey report?
Sorry.
Where have you been?
No. I got that. It's just the thing. Your camera froze at an opportune moment. No, Zach, what she's talking about is Hugh Howey put up a website called Author Earnings. Is it Author Earning Report?
Oh, that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the name of it. I have seen that.
Is it Author Earnings or Author Earnings Report? I can't remember.
It's one of those two. If you Google Hugh Howey Author Earnings, it'll show up.
Yeah.
If you want figures, that's a great resource. Of course, that's all figures of people who are like really successful. Well, not really, actually.
They're the top 100.
Well, no, but he actually has done reports
They're
on
the top 50,000 too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a really good resource. We've had a few comments here. Sorry, everyone. They're not loading up in the thing, so I can't bring them all up.
One more thing.
Every time I say that. There we go.
You can go back to the last podcast from last week, and we talked a little bit about, I think it was last week, where we talked about different flows of income if you have questions on income and stuff like that. I think that was last week, right, guys?
Yeah, you were shifting.
Yeah.
We were talking.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Eric talked about live conventions, saying he was at a couple of conventions in Ottawa. Got a few sales of physical books, but got quite a few signups for my newsletter and gave away a ton of copies of a short story with my contact and book info at the end. Overall, I found them to be fun experiences. Yeah, for me, what do you call it? VidCon will be my second professional conference this year. Comikaze will be my third. And I'm starting to see the value of physical conferences, going out there, meeting other people. It's not about book sales. Like, we will have the books there. I'm more interested in, like, if somebody walks up and is like, I want to buy this book, I will be like, I have a swiper. Swipe. Okay, thank you. But more valuable than that is somebody who walks up and goes, how are you guys, what do you guys do? I'm a self-publisher as well. What do you guys do? And then you are in a dialogue with another professional person in your field. The only reason, that I am any degree of successful as a writer is because of my connections to other people who are way more successful than I am, frankly. Like, I work with people who are very, very successful, and I get to learn everything that they're doing and try to emulate it. And I'm not as good as they are, but I am doing the smart things if I'm not doing them as smartly as they are. It's really, really good to be connected to people who know what the F they're doing. Welcome to the new Cleaner Storytelling Podcast.
Yeah, he already dropped that a while ago.
I did? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. And then.
But yes, I agree with you on that.
And Eric said, Garrett's hatred of Smashwords is almost comical now. I haven't had a hard time with them, but I directly upload EPUBs to them, so I don't go through the meat grinder, which is where I think most people run into the problems. Yeah, you'd think that. Wouldn't you,
Yeah.
Eric?
'Cause I put mine through as an EPUB also, and it caught on the meat grinder. There was no getting through. I've tried it 5 different ways, and I still can't figure it out.
Yeah, I have done Meat Grinder. Here's like a very brief summary of my history with Smashwords. I started off by submitting Word documents, and at first, like the first one was Touch, and then after that I did Non-Zombie, and I think by the time I got to Hit Girls, was when I got really fed up. But I started off with Hit Girls. I started off with Touch, and I was submitting Word documents. And they took a Word document, and then they took another one, and then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this with my back matter, and it's going to be much smarter for me marketing-wise, and yada, yada, yada. And as soon as I changed my back matter to not just an About the Author page, they started rejecting my Word files consistently. I wasn't linking to other platforms. I wasn't doing any of this stuff you're not supposed to do, nothing. And they just started rejecting me. And then they were like, hey, we're going to start taking EPUB files now. And I was like, this sounds cool, bastards. So I started putting out EPUBs, and I would send that to them, and that worked fine until I wanted to start putting images into my EPUB files, which, again, everybody else in the world totally fine with. Amazon fine with, Kobo fine with, Barnes & Noble, Apple, all totally fine with this. And Smashwords was like, no. And I said, okay, what do I need to fix my EPUB file? Well, we can't tell you that, but go over here and check your book on this EPUB file checking site. And I said, okay. And they said, and that will tell you what's wrong, and that is the site that we always run our EPUB files through to check if it's compliant. So I went over there, and I put my EPUB file in, and it said, you are 100% compliant with EPUB 3 standard. And I'm like, well, then what the hell, Smashwords? They are a piece of crap website. They are bad. They are not good at what they do. Use Draft2Digital. There you go. That's what you do, Draft2Digital.
Cool story, Hansel.
Oh, God, shut up. Anyway. Should we get on topic?
Probably.
You have a topic?
Yeah. Deaths.
Deaths and endings. Let's talk about that. And I have pledged not to... Sorry, go ahead.
How many characters have you killed off?
Well, we can't get on topic just yet.
Oh.
Well, yeah, when we get on topic, thank you, Zach. Actually, thank you very much. When we get on topic is always when we remind you that we are brought to you, as always, by authormarketingclub.com. If you don't know it already, authormarketingclub.com was started by Jim Kukral. It is a fantastic website for authors who are looking how to market their books. They have tools. They have tools that are free to use. Tools that include publicizing your free book and putting it onto an email list that goes out to tens of thousands of people. They have a premium membership that you can sign up for, which gives you some amazing tools, cover design tools, tools to get more reviews on your books, all kinds of really, really awesome stuff. Jim also has a new show called the Sell More Book Show, which is a really, really fantastic show. I know there's a lot of self-publishing podcasts out there, including the Self-Publishing Podcast and Joanna Penn's Creative Pen Podcast and the Rocking Self-Publishing Podcast. What the Sell More Book Show is it's a half hour, so not very long, show about the most important self-publishing news in the world for the week, and then a summary of different tactics that Jim and his co-host are doing and experimenting with and what's happening. So it's like a bite-sized chunk of the most important news, and it's really, really good. It's quite good. We got a lot of comments during that. So now we'll get on topic. Deaths and endings. Who wants to go first?
Deaths are awesome.
Zach loves death.
Melissa said your tutorial was what helped her get on Smashwords.
Yes, I just saw that. I got through Smashwords with Garrett's tutorial, haha. I made an EPUB and then used those settings to render a doc and then uploaded the doc to Smashwords. 4 books went through with no problems. I had images in the book. Well, then you just lead a charmed life, Melissa, because those, oh, man. That's the thing. That is the thing.
Let's not get back onto this.
Okay.
I just thought it was funny that his tutorial helped her.
Hilarious.
So deaths are fantastic. They're fantastic in books. They're fantastic in movies. And they're fantastic in TV shows such as Game of Thrones. The only death scene I've seen was the Red Wedding.
Can I tell this
Only
story?
one.
Can I tell this story?
We've said it like 15 times, but go ahead.
I
Okay,
would
you were
love
at
you.
my house, weren't you? Zach?
What?
Weren't you at my house?
No.
You weren't? Oh, no, that was when I saw the one death in The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Okay,
you saw the Walking Dead one.
so I've never watched The Walking Dead. I've seen one scene in The Walking Dead, and it's when, spoiler alert, no, I won't spoil it, It's when, like, a very major character dies in a very, very, very not cool way. And I was just like, Jesus fuck. And Zach's only seen the Red Wedding in the Game of Thrones show. So we both are just sort of like, "Ugh."
Yeah, that was fantastic because I'm sitting there like, they can't kill this guy. They can't kill this guy. I went over to Garrett's house because I didn't have TV at the
Did
time.
you miss the first season
Of what?
of Game of Thrones?
I haven't seen any Game of Thrones. I don't watch Game of
Except
Thrones.
the
Oh.
Red Wedding.
It's not something that I'm really going to watch probably until they finish the series just because I don't need another series to watch. Like Battlestar Galactica, I'm glad that I got through that in one foul swoop.
Yeah, waiting 6 years for that. I think, honestly, on those shows, compressing it makes it better. But anyway, we should really get actually to talking about deaths, not just TV
Not just Game of Thrones.
shows. So, how do you guys want a session? Because I have very strong opinions on character deaths, but I've voiced them quite often, and it usually is in relation to Game of Thrones. So what do you guys think?
You were breaking up for me, so what was the question?
All right, cool. Lots of deep thoughts happening on the podcast.
Yeah.
You were breaking up for me.
Oh, got you. How do you want to start the topic? I got it.
Okay.
We're on a time delay now.
The-
Fantastic. Chrissy, go.
The major question, when is it a good time to, or what makes a death a good thing in a book or writing or whatever?
I think that what makes a death a good
I think
thing
a death is
if the character needs to die. I mean, honestly,
But how do you say needs to die?
I say needs to die because it's going to create the correct effect that you want as the author for your book.
And that's very important. I want to take serious issue with people who say, oh, well, that's what had to happen in the story, or that's just where things were naturally progressing. I'm just going to call BS on people because, yes, characters will give you brilliant ideas, and you're like, oh, if this character's like this, then they would go do this, and it takes my story in a new direction, and yada, yada, yada. But
That's
you
true.
know what you are? You are an author. That means that you are putting the words down. That means that at any time, you could make a minor change to a character's personality, make them better or worse or whatever you want on the moral scale, and you can change it. So I just want to call. That is one thing that I want to mention is that no character has to die. And when you kill a character, it is a conscious choice to make an emotional impact on your
Right.
audience.
Yeah, it's the effect that you want to create.
Exactly. And it can be an awesome effect. Every major death in the Harry Potter series was epic. Epically done. So epic.
Yeah.
Well, and the Game of Thrones, even, there's a reason behind all of the deaths.
Yeah, I didn't like Robb Stark's.
Well,
I didn't like the Red Wedding. Crap. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody.
well, I mean, in the first one, it's the hero. You think he's gonna save everybody, so he dies. The next
Yes,
one is
awesome.
his son. You think his son is gonna save everyone, so he dies. And it just kept going like that. And he did it on purpose because he's like, I don't want you to figure out who's gonna win.
Right.
So
Which is like I get that. I don't want to get into another Red Wedding discussion. I've had it too many times.
Let's take Ender's Game. Everybody's read Ender's Game, and there were
or watch the movie.
a couple deaths in there of even minor characters.
Yeah,
but those
and-
characters were needed for the story because of where it was going.
Right, exactly. And quick, let's talk about it openly. Statute of limitations. If you haven't read Ender's Game or even seen the movie, which was a gigantic pile of flaming horse shit,
I liked it.
I love
Okay.
that movie.
I'm gonna set the world on fire.
This podcast is over.
Everything on fire. Thank you, everybody. It's been a great run on the Storytelling Podcast, and I wish we could keep going. No, but
Hey, I should get a pass because I haven't been able to read the book.
What?
you haven't read
You haven't read Ender's Game?
Yeah, I started to read it, but it was so similar. The beginning is so similar to the movie. It was like, why am I reading this again?
You should have read the
no,
book
no,
before you saw the movie.
no.
Yeah, Chrissy.
I didn't know. It was...
Garrett, what did we do?
See, and that's why I was glad I read
Crystal read Ender's
The
Game.
Maze Runner. Crystal, fuck you.
Actually, I think
Zach,
you did.
up top. All right.
You both kiss my rosy red butt.
Go. Let's not. I changed my mind. Let's not talk about Ender's Game. Go read it,
Okay.
please. Yeah. Okay. No, let's talk about it openly. Statute of limitations. If you haven't seen or read the book, we're going to talk about characters who die. Ender brutally kills two boys, his own, actually older than him, older and bigger and stronger than him.
Which we don't find out till later on after they're dead.
Right, exactly. And they're both psychos, and they're both tormenting him and making his life miserable, and they both are intending to hurt or kill him badly. They're very, very bad people, and it's like, yes, it's what do you call it? It's bullied kid wish fulfillment and all the crap that other people level at that story all the time. But it is a massively important moment of character development for Ender. The first one is right at the beginning of the book, and he has been removed from his lifeline of always having adult supervision, making sure he never gets hurt. And he's released from that, and he's no longer being watched by the adults, and the first scrap he gets into, he fucking kills the kid. And you're like,
That's
you as the reader...
Is that chapter 1 or chapter 2?
Chapter 1, first chapter,
Chapter
just
1.
bam. Yeah. And right as the reader, you're just like, whoa, he's 6. And in the story, that's what prompts the military command to be like, yes, we want him, we want the killer, yes, let's have him.
Right.
And then later in the book, there's he kills Bonso for another. Like basically to make sure that none of the other
Homoerotic
bullies...
scene in the shower.
Maybe just a little bit. And people say Orson Scott Card hates homosexuals. He actually does. He actually really viciously does. Anyway, it's not a good thing. It's actually like anyway,
yeah,
it's annoying.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's whatever.
So you're saying the book was a lot more violent than the movie?
Well, the book was more. I don't know. There's
the
really
book
only
was
those
more
two
full
scenes.
than the movie. There's a whole bunch of story that was not in the movie.
Well, of
Yes.
course, because it's only a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, no,
It's a
I'm not saying I
90.
didn't like it.
It's
I
a
liked it.
100-minute movie. I want to
Really?
put that on the record. It's 100 minutes.
What?
Ender's Game should have been 2 hours.
Anyway, okay, so we're talking about right now. We're talking about deaths of side characters and cannon fodder, basically, that will progress your story forward. And I think that's what you need to do. Your deaths, you need to look at and go, how is this going to help with my storyline? Even if it's that you are killing an entire army, there needs to be a reason. You don't just go, oh, that army is dead right there, and it has nothing to do with anything. It has to be connected.
I think
So,
it can add weight to the story.
and that's exactly what it does. It does add weight, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
It
if you
is
do it
emotional
right,
and-
if you're just like throwing things at the grinding machine and letting it die, then it's if you don't care about the person, even if it is just a side character, then it's just a side character and it doesn't matter.
Right, but in that case, it needs to be connected with the storyline or the plot.
Right.
If there's no actual emotional connection for the reader, then it needs to have something to do with the plot, or else it's a death that shouldn't even be in there because it has nothing to actually do with anything.
Right.
Yeah.
there is an old, I don't know, joke, saying, adage, whatever you want to call it, about old-timey mystery writers. And they would be like, whenever I feel like my story's slowing down, somebody else dies. And it's like, it's a cheap way to up the tension and whatever. But it is a cheap... Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't see it. What did it say?
Eric Whitman said, always read the book first, Chrissy.
Oh.
Melissa Donovan said, ultimate story about death is Lost. If you're saying that they were dead the whole time, you and I should have an argument off the air.
I didn't see the last season, so I'm not into that discussion.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyways, what were we saying? Oh, yeah, so it can add weight. And again, I will refer to Harry Potter as like, oh my god, deaths that like produced all of the feels. And you were like, oh, Cedric Diggory. Wait, they killed Sirius? Wait, they killed Dumbledore?
Right.
And then they killed Harry and the book series was over.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
I hope Dave's watching.
I hope Dave's watching too. Harry Potter, by this point, again, statute of limitations. It's like books and movies have been out for long enough. Don't feel too necessarily bad. Oh, by the way, Rosebud was his sled.
Wow.
Anyway.
And
That's an old one.
Citizen Kane really have to die at the end of that movie.
Okay, what is a death that really did not work for you?
Well, I mean, other than Rob Stark.
I have one in a TV show neither of you watch.
Which one?
Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, we've discussed this before, though.
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, the character George should not have died. Obviously, he was leaving the show, so they had to write in his death. Well, they didn't. They actually didn't need to write in his death. He could have just fucking left the show, like other people have done.
How
But
did he die?
there are at least 5 deaths in that show that I'm like, oh my god!
What happened to George or whatever?
He got hit by a bus.
Wow. Not even something
They're
glorious.
really
Okay, so if you guys haven't seen season 4 or 5 of Grey's Anatomy and you're watching it, then tune out now. Though I did just give it away. So in this episode, they bring in this guy who is just like mutilated. He has been dragged 20 blocks by a bus, and they don't know who he is. He's a John Doe, and throughout the entire movie, they're trying to save him and all this stuff, and he's an organ donor and all this stuff, and they're going about their normal daily lives. And then right at the end, they realize it's George, their person that they work with. And it's just like, he was the best character on that show at that time.
But the actor wanted to leave.
There was all this turmoil, with whatever, but...
Turns out he was a rapist.
No. But the thing is that character, it's like, they did it really well, but that character was so beloved, and it caused such an emotional, like, I can't believe he's dead.
Yeah.
He's never coming back. Whereas you have other people that are like, oh, I'm leaving. I'm going to work at a different hospital. And you go, okay, they could come back. They could come back for cameos, which recently happened in the last episode. We had a cameo come back. That was off, 6 seasons ago. So,
right.
Just because they died doesn't mean they can't come back for cameos, though. Lots of dead characters, even in realistic shows, they come back as
coming back.
Visions or apparitions or.
A death in slightly more recent memory that really didn't work for me, that really pissed me off.
Okay.
And they covered it. Anybody who is not already a subscriber to CinemaSins, the YouTube channel, you gotta go subscribe to them. They do a series of videos called Everything Wrong with Bleh, and they take a movie and they say everything wrong with that movie in like 5 to 10 minutes, and they're amazing. And anyway, I was reminded because I just watched this one. Man of Steel, Kevin Costner, a.k.a. Clark's father on Earth, his dad who raised him up to live among humans.
What was that about?
His death? Stupidest death in the history of movie deaths. It's like there is a tornado coming and our car has broken down on the freeway. Let us get out of the car and go hide under the overpass. By the way, not an effective place to hide from a tornado, on a completely separate note. Second of all, Then they realize that their dog is not there. He's still back in the car, which they have run away from now. And Kevin Costner sets off to go get the dog, who's in a car about 60 feet away from the tornado. And Clark is like, no, Dad, let me go get the dog. Because I'm fucking Superman! And the dad's like, no, son. And he literally just puts up his hand and he's like, no. And he goes to the car, he opens the door, and the dog gets out and runs back to the overpass, but then he gets, like, caught under a wheel, his foot gets stuck or something like that. And Clark almost runs out into the tornado to save him, but doesn't.
And he holds up his hand again.
And he holds up his hand and dies in the tornado. And you're just like...
That was a really bad death.
It was the worst.
Whereas, like, you look at, okay, so that's a superhero movie. You look at and that's something that puts emotion into your main character. But then you have the Uncle Ben death with Spider-Man. He gets shot and by a burglar or you know whichever movie or comic you're reading, but it is by a burglar.
Yeah.
And that gives Spider-Man or Peter Parker the drive to start doing good.
And it was a burglar. It was a burglar that he let go because the guy was robbing somebody else that like didn't give Spider-Man his money, and it was just like
exactly. And then you're like,
oh, the irony.
I'm gonna go fight all tornadoes.
Right. You know? That's just like so dumb.
If they had not Emperor Zod, General Zod kill him. Or
and then
one of his
like
cronies.
Yeah, massive increase in dramatic tension. I feel like they were trying to make some sort of like point, like some character thing on Superman.
Bitch.
Right, exactly. It's just like, what are you trying to say to us? That Superman is a freaking asshole who just let his father die?
Wait, Chrissy has something to say.
Sorry.
Yes, Chrissy. She looks frozen to me.
She is frozen. I don't think she had anything to say. I think she was just snickering.
And she's gone. All right.
Melissa Donovan said the death that didn't work for me was at the end of the Matrix trilogy. Then again, the last two movies in the Matrix trilogy didn't work for me, so maybe it wasn't the death. I think we're on board with you on that one, Melissa.
I'm trying to remember the end of the Matrix trilogy.
Neo dies. Remember, he goes to the big hive mind thing and he dies. In a crucifix position because the Jesus imagery wasn't. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't really put too much attention into those last two movies.
It was honestly, I will say this: I went back and I rewatched the last two maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half. They're much better than you remember them when you saw them in theaters. Because when you went and saw them in theaters, your expectations were very high, and they should have been, because the first movie was so amazing. Yeah, so you went in thinking, I'm going to see 2 more Matrix movies. And you didn't. You saw 2 movies that were nowhere near that good. But if you go back and watch them now, you're sort of like, oh, these are all right. These are...
Chrissy, did you have something to say on the Superman death we were talking about?
Oh, actually, I had something else to say completely.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't talk.
I've noticed that.
Go ahead.
We're assholes.
One of the examples I was going to give is you don't always have to have a reason for that. Like, one of the characters commits suicide.
Chrissy, you're a super Cylon right now.
Am I?
Yeah.
I think she's talking about suicide.
Okay.
Right, now she's muted.
Oops. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
I said one of the characters commits suicide and nobody knows why, and for like I don't know, 3 or 4 in House.
Okay.
And for 3 or 4 episodes, everybody's trying to figure out why he committed suicide, but there is no reason because he committed suicide, and there's nobody to tell them why. And it's just creates tension between everybody. They're all exploring their own feelings and their own emotions about it, and it's a good way of getting inside of everybody's head.
Right. That's the writer's why. Is in order to get put a plot there for each individual to start looking at themselves.
Right.
That's the
I mean,
point of the suicide.
Right.
Yeah, that's like I think that's a writer's out. I feel like that character wanted to. I feel like that actor wanted to get off the show, so that's what they did.
Quite possibly.
I think that any story idea is only as good as you write it, but I also think there are some ideas that are inherently better or worse than other ideas. Like I would never just in an ongoing like Realm Keepers Book 3, Raven's not just gonna commit suicide and not have a reason why. You know what I mean? Like
You aren't writing the beats for that.
Raven and Calvin enter a suicide pact. All right, 1, 2, 3. You actually did it! No!
You didn't eat the berries.
Wow.
Speaking of which, the deaths in the Hunger Games were some were poignant and some were just like, oh, that kid died. So,
Yeah, but the thing is that that book is about death. So
that's
you
about
have the
that's
death,
that's a
don't
feature of the
totally not.
world.
And you have like, what's her name?
Katniss Everdeen.
Nope.
Have you guys seen Battle Royale?
Book that you really what?
Rue?
Did you guys watch
Yes.
Battle Royale?
Battle
Rue.
Royale. No, I didn't. I know that Battle Royale came before Hunger Games and is the same story though.
Who cares?
No, it's a way better story.
Okay, I get it. I really like Hunger Games, and I'm very sick of people saying Battle Royale was much better. I'm sure that it's very, very good and
Well-
possibly better.
Well,
No, I'm sure that it is.
yes. But the reason I thought it was better is because all of the deaths that they show really.
You're Cyloning again, Chrissy. You're Cyloning again.
There's a really good point. She's
Sorry.
Cylon. I think Garrett has a button. Cylon
Hello?
button.
Can you hear
I
me
don't
now?
want her anymore. She's saying something I disagree with. Yeah, you're all good. Make that point again.
As in Battle Royale, all the deaths have pointed. There's a reason for them. There's emotion behind all of them. It makes more of a connection.
Understood. But the point that I was actually just going to make is that fact that those deaths don't mean anything is a feature of the world. It is part of the world building and the story. It is
True.
explaining to you subconsciously that this world is so dead and Katniss is so dead emotionally and in so many other ways that she can't even care about these other kids dying in the exact same shitty circumstances she's in. So that is a case of using death emotionally in a counterintuitive way. It instead of playing up the emotion and using it to make the strong emotional impact, you were using the very conspicuous lack of that emotional impact to point out the fact that this world kind of fucked up.
Okay, so
We'll give you that,
I
yeah.
don't have very much time. Why don't we get on to main character deaths?
Favorite main character death? Go. Go.
Pass.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but I will
Brightly
say.
Burning.
Sorry?
Brightly Burning.
Haven't read it.
It is an absolutely amazing book.
On my wish list.
It's by Mercedes Lackey. It's about a boy. It starts with him in school getting harassed and bullied and everything, and then he becomes a companion, which is like the super elites of the society.
No, it's not. I know what companions are. They're the girls that ride around with Doctor Who, Chrissy.
Yeah.
I know this. You can't fool me. Come on.
Speaking of Dr. Donna,
Dr. Donna. Okay. I have a favorite main character death, but I also have an honorable mention main character death. Honorable mention main character death, Wool. Hugh Howey's first
Oh,
Wool
yeah.
book. Oh, man. That's one of those ones where you're just like, oh, well, you first of all, Zach, it's only like 15,000 words, 15,000 words, so you could burn
Yeah.
through it real quick.
Well, I already know the ending, so.
Well, you should read it, though. I mean,
you should read it
it's-
anyway.
No, I'm kidding. I know the ending because you just said main character death.
No, I know that's, but like it's worth reading. And besides, as a professional, it's the book that made Hugh Howey, more than $1 million. So maybe.
I'll read it.
But probably my favorite main character death is Tale of Two Cities, and God, I can't remember his name.
Ooh.
Dickinson?
Is it?
Pip?
I'm Googling
That's the
it
person
right now.
who wrote it.
No. I know Charles Dickens wrote it.
Oh.
God, I'm talking about the main character.
I don't know.
Let me see.
My name is Pip, or my name is Pippin.
Sidney Carton. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that name. Sidney fucking Carton, man. One of the greatest characters in all literature, anywhere ever. He is an asshole. He is a bit of a womanizer and an alcoholic and et cetera, et cetera. I don't remember if he's an alcoholic, but he is in love with a girl, and the man that she is in love with is going to be guillotined in the French Revolution. And Sidney Carton happens to look a lot like the man that she's in love with. So he swaps places with him, and as he's being marched to the guillotine, he says the lines, "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known." And you were like, you are a boss! You are a boss! Greatest ever. I remember being in high school in that book and just being like, I hope I'm never in a violent revolution, but if I am, I want to go out like that.
I'd rather survive, so you can take my place.
Yeah, sure, too.
Yeah.
They don't write books about the guy who survives. I mean, he actually did, because the guy who survives is also in the book. But anyway, that is epic.
Yeah, that sounds epic. I didn't actually read. I didn't get to read that. Which is
yeah,
but
it's really, really good.
Talking about classics, one of my favorite Shakespeare's is Julius Caesar, and I personally love his death, and just the complete. Betrayal and I love that book. So Julius Caesar for me for right now.
That's a good one.
Else. Batman.
Let's see. What are other good books with main character deaths? I mean, Star Wars has Darth Vader at the end, but he's definitely not the main character. Even though he's definitely probably the most popular character in the series. Let's see.
Well, there's Game of Thrones.
I mean, there's Game of Thrones, but
there's a pretty intense death in the Maze Runner trilogy, but that's in the last book. Which you won't get to. So.
No, I definitely won't.
Well, I can tell you that later, so don't give it away.
I'm having trouble trying to think of more. There's I Am Legend, which I didn't necessarily like in the movie, but I did. I thought it was okay, but I wasn't like,
I hated the ending of that.
Really? Apparently, it's much better.
I don't think he should have died.
Apparently,
you mean the one that was in the movie or the actual ending?
Yeah, the one that was in the book I heard was much better, but I haven't read it.
You can actually go watch the alternate ending on YouTube, which is the one that was closer to what that was in the movie.
Nice. Let's see.
And everybody survives in that one.
Oh, good. Yeah, see, that's what I would prefer. I didn't like the death. I didn't like his death. Honestly, it's like, I'm going to take this grenade and blow myself up, though I could throw it out there and hide with you guys, but I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Would have done the exact same effect.
Well, not really.
Yeah, really?
No, because you have to go watch the alternate ending. It's totally different.
No, I'm not talking about the alternate ending. I'm talking about the actual ending.
Oh, yeah. Well, throwing the
grenade and throwing it to where he was holding it is the same damn thing of him holding it and killing himself.
Yeah. That's correct.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't like it.
Other main character deaths. I Am Legend.
There's some major main character deaths in The Walking Dead.
There's some major main character deaths in Realm Keepers Book 3. Ooh, no.
Yeah.
Or are there?
Only Miles survives.
Eric, Eric, when you do, don't use death like they do in comics where it's never permanent and no one takes it seriously. Honestly, I agree with what you're saying, Eric,
Right.
except for in comics, because it is, for them, a fantastic business model that has been working very well for 50 years.
Yeah.
Like,
The Death of Superman, very good seller.
yeah, best-selling comic book of all time. And they brought him back, and he's still selling now. And, you know, every time they do Death of Captain America, people go and buy it because they're like, oh, he dies. And yes, they know he's going to come back, but it doesn't matter because you still want to see how it happens. I don't know. But yes, in movie series and book series and whatever, yes, I agree. Don't do that.
So Melissa says more often she thinks that they should kill a character that they didn't kill. So is there anybody like that you've thought maybe that they should have died?
Kill a character they haven't killed. I'm
Like
sure.
somebody should have died. Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride totally
Oh
should have
God,
died.
yes.
Totally should have died. I mean, yes, Wesley was a better person. Yes, it was a more heroic, romantic. Kill him! Kill him now!
Oh, there was a great death in a movie.
Who?
Was Tyler Durden at the end of Fight Club.
Yeah.
I love that death.
It was.
Okay.
It was good.
Edward
yeah.
Norton shoots himself in the head, but
Yeah.
he survives.
I'm like, is Tyler Durden the main character? Yeah.
He's part of the main character. If you
I
will.
know. I see what you're saying. I see. I'll roll with that. I'll allow it. I'll
Not the
allow it.
narrator, but you know.
All right, guys, we really got to wrap it up. We've gone way over time. Any other tremendously important thoughts before we get out of here?
Look for
Maybe next
Ninja
week we
Bread
should
Man
start on
2 soon.
time.
Yes, next week we will start on time, hopefully. Next week I'll read Maze Runner, and we'll do a breakdown of that. And you were going to say, Zach, Ninja Bread Man?
Yeah, you guys can watch out for Ninja Bread Man 2 soon, you know, as long as Garrett reads.
Coming soon. But
Coming
for
soon.
right now, you can pre-order Rebel Yell at garrettbrobinson.com/rebel-yell. And with
Are we
that,
plugging our own books now?
we've always been plugging. When have we not?
We
when
plug
have
our
we ever
books.
not plugged our own books.
You should go read my Forgotten Footprints.
No,
then.
Chrissy, our own books. Me and Zach,
Oh.
not you. No, I'm.
I'm going to. If you were closer, I'd smack you upside the head.
Dick quits.
I'm
I want
kidding,
my
Chrissy.
severance package.
You were saying, oh, you know what? People should go read Footprints by Chrissy Moss. I have read it, and it is an excellent book. So there you go. And with that, I will call an end to this travesty of a show. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. That's the wrong audio file. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us for 50 episodes of this. We can't believe you're here. We can't believe we're here. And we'll see you next week. Good night. That's a long intro.
See how long it
If
takes.
I'd started playing the right audio file from the first, then it would.
We're still live.
Goodbye. Yeah, we're still live.